Hey boys and girls, this is Miss Leonhardt, and this is your introduction to mixtures and solutions. This is our unit for trimester 2. We're going to have 5 investigations, unlike where in our other unit we had 4. And obviously we're not studying the earth and sun, we're studying mixtures and solutions. Unfortunately, I can't go into depth about what mixtures and solutions are because that's going to be answered in our first 2 investigations. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to get to in order to move to lesson 1. So the first thing that I need to do with you is review these safety rules. And the reason it's so important for this unit is because we are going to be making mixtures and solutions, and we're going to be working with materials that I need to know that you can handle. So if we could go over these science rules. First thing is you need to make sure you're listening carefully to my instructions. You need to follow all of my directions. Usually I write them out for you. So if you don't hear them, you can read them. And you need to ask questions if you're not sure what to do. Okay. Now you've seen on TV kids who don't pay attention when they're working with chemicals. The next thing you see is foams going everywhere, etc. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think we need to be better safe than sorry when we're working with mixtures and solutions. So if you're not sure what to do, ask a couple friends, and then if you really don't have the answer, you need to ask me. You need to make sure you're letting me know if you have any allergies. We shouldn't be working with any chemicals that you have an allergy to, but just want to let you know. You should know this one, but you should never put a material in your mouth. There are going to be times that we're working with salt, but it is not salt to be eaten. It is salt to be worked on. Okay, so you are not putting anything in your mouth. You are not tasting anything unless I say to do so. And I'm going to be honest with you, we're probably not going to be tasting any of these mixtures and solutions. You wouldn't want to. One, it tastes disgusting. And 2, there are going to be chemicals and things that are handled with our hands that have a lot of germs on it. So it should go nowhere near your mouth. You want to make sure that you're not smelling any unknown material, especially when you work with chemicals that can be really potent. I know our first instinct is to bend down and smell it, but the correct way to do it is to wave your hand over something. It's called wafting. So you would just go like this and see if it has a strong smell. If it doesn't have a strong smell, you are never going down to the actual object and smelling it close to your nose. It's very unsafe. You need to make sure that you are not touching your face, mouth, ears, or eyes, or nose when working with chemicals, plants, or animals. So if you're touching a material, you need to go to the sink and wash your hands after before you're touching your face. Now, we probably will be wearing goggles. That's number 6. When we're working on mixtures and solutions, 1, they're really fun and they get you into science mode. And 2, it does keep anything out of your eyes. For instance, if the wind blows, if a fan's on, if someone sneezes, that sometimes a mixture item such as pepper or salt that can bounce back up at you. Even if you tip and spill something, little things like that can make a big difference. So we want to make sure we stay protected. When you're washing your hands, you need to wash with soap and warm water, okay? I've heard sing the happy birthday song, sing your alphabet, count to 30. There's soap by my sink. Soap, not hand sanitizer. Big difference. And you should always be washing your hands. If you need to remind me to do this, please do so. Just let me know what you're doing. I'm washing my hands, Miss Leonhardt. Don't forget, we need to wash our hands. I will totally accept it. You should never be mixing any chemicals unless I've told you to do so. Okay, so I will tell you in an experiment what needs to be mixed. 1, we don't want a chemical reaction that we're not planning on having. And 2, a lot of times the materials we're going to reuse. And so if we mix, let's say, salt and sugar, they look really alike and it's going to be impossible for us to separate them. So in further investigations, if we needed to test just the salt, if we had mixed them accidentally, we're kind of out of luck. So please make sure you're only mixing what I tell you to do. If anything is spilled or there's some sort of accident, let me know right away, or let a friend know that they can run over and grab me. We want to make sure we're being respectful. If for any instance we're going outside, which we will be at some point, you need to make sure that you're treating the nature environment okay. And then at every investigation, you need to clean your workspace. This is going to be really important. We're going to be working with water, salt, sugar. Those granules can get on the table. Grab a Lysol wipe, wipe it down. water, grab some paper towels, wipe it down. In terms of containers, your materials manager, this is going to be a really important role. They're going to need to wash out those containers. So just as we did in the soil and water lesson in the sun, when we came back inside, I really needed those friends to wash everything and then lay it all out to dry. What happens if you don't let wet things dry? Well, you know that it gets a mildewy and mold smell, and so we need to make sure that doesn't happen. And then last but not least, the smart thing, again, just be responsible. If you can't handle the science experiment, you can do a reading instead, but I'd prefer for you to have fun and do the science experiment. So now that you know those rules, we're going to move on. We will move on to the next slide, which is simply a review of all the roles. So I want you to kind of remember what these roles are. So if you are the director, you are the one that's reading the directions aloud for your group. This could also be rereading the directions, or if you come up with a plan, maybe you're the one that's kind of starting the discussion about the plan. This is also the person who keeps the group on task and following directions. So if your group's off task, this person really needs to be a leader. The materials manager, this is going to be such an important role. They're the ones who are going to set up the materials before beginning the activity. So if there's a chemical or a mixture or a material that needs to be gotten, they're going to need to get it, to measure it out, to make sure they have the right amount, and bring it back to their table. They're also going to be the ones doing the cleaning. So if you're going to be the materials manager, you have to be willing to clean everything out at the end. The next job is the facilitator. This is going to be the person who's going to decide who's going to do each part of the activity. So the facilitator is the person at the beginning who said, you know what, how about you measure the first one and so can measure the second one. Or the facilitator might say, you know what, you two can do steps 1 and 2, and then we'll take steps 3 and 4. The facilitator is the one who really divides everything up fairly so everyone gets a chance to do something fun. The facilitator wants to make sure the group has a quiet volume. So they're in charge of watching that volume. And last but not least, the facilitator keeps track of time. That could be, for instance, if you're planning a lesson or an investigation and Miss Leonhardt said you have 10 minutes, they could keep you on pace. Or maybe they're the ones who have a timer in their hand are actually timing an experiment or reaction. And last but not least, this is the technician. This is the person who measures. So if you're measuring temperature, you're going ahead and you're looking at the thermometer. If you are measuring with weights, you are the one who's putting the weights in the scale. Okay, if you're measuring an amount of liquid, you're looking carefully at the cups or liters. Okay, and at the same time, you're going to make sure that everyone is writing down their data. You might be really helpful with the computer and how to create tables. This could also be part of your job as a technician. Now, Miss Leonhardt bought some really nice lanyards. Lanyards are those big necklaces that go around your neck. I wear one with my keys on it. You also use those every time you go to the bathroom. So each of these 4 jobs is going to be on a lanyard, and you will wear them every time that we have an investigation. This is going to help you remember what your expectations are, because at any time you don't know, you can look down at your lanyard, and that will tell you what you need to be doing. So here are your science groups for the current unit. These will remain the same all trimester. Remember to kind of keep a positive attitude. You are constantly going to be working with different people now, middle school, high school, and even college. And there were times in college where I had group members who didn't pull their weight, or maybe the group members weren't my best friends. But that's okay, because that's how the real world works. So I want you to understand that who you are with is who you are going to be for the entire trimester until we are done with mixtures and solutions. What I would like you to do tomorrow during homeroom is to kind of touch base with those people and see who might want to be who for the trimester. Who would like to be the materials manager, maybe the facilitator, director, or technician. If you have less than 4 members in your group, somebody's going to need to do 2 jobs. Figure out who would be doing that. So again, if you could take a look at your group color so that you know. And then last but not least, so that I know you completed your homework and watched this video, please do me a favor and go into Google Classroom on the post that I shared this video and comment whatever color group you're in. So for example, if I were Ronnie, I would go and I would post red as my comment. And that would be how Miss Leonhardt knows that I watched the video for homework and followed her directions. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to doing mixtures and solutions with you guys.